was just talking about how they were doing Les Wexner's deposition at his house. And my live stream just like shut down for no reason. I'm sure it was just a coincidence. But I don't know, maybe I'm just high. It's a creepy time. It's a spooky time. We don't know what the hell is going on. But like I was saying, I didn't sign an NDA. And the Wexner story is sort of coming out. I mean, even the fucking Columbus Dispatch is like talking about it. And to be fair, journalists in Ohio have been on that story for kind of a long time. Columbus Monthly, I think, did a story about it. Well, did they shut me down with some kind of like sound cannon or something? Some kind of Mossad secret weapon? I do think they're probably start a war with Iran just to distract from these Epstein files. The story is just way too fucking big. And people are going to see that. I mean, especially now that this Prince William guy has been fucking arrested. How can Americans not see that and be like, wait a minute, why are they not doing that here? Arrest Trump, goddammit, before he starts a fucking war. He's going to use his Board of Peace to declare war. As President Board of Peace, we're going to nuke Iran before they can start any wars. We don't want them to start any wars, so we're just going to nuke them. It's a preventative for national security. We have to do it. The AI told us. We ran it through AI, and AI said that this was our only option. We asked Grok. Grok, should we nuke Iran? Yeah. It's go time. I mean, something big is supposed to happen astrologically this month. They said February is supposed to be some crazy fucking month. So I assume the shit is going to hit the fan in some kind of big way. Who knows what the hell that's going to mean? Will there be a nuclear exchange? Will Trump... This is what I'm saying. It's like, Epstein said Trump is evil, okay? Epstein, at the very least, is like systematically grooming. It's like having candy in your pocket. You know, it's like his whole life was like the most advanced, like, I've got candy in my pocket, kids, scheme ever. It's like he's seeding all of these different colleges. He's going to New York Art Academy. It's like, this is what, he's like an art buyer or something. It's like, except with people, with teenage chicks. He wants the best genetically, and all the women around him seem okay with it. They're like, oh yeah, let's get Jeffrey some chicks. He loves chicks. Let me introduce him to my daughter. Oh, Jeffrey, you're so incorrigible. Meanwhile, he's a sex offender and everybody knows it. He's like one of these guys that has to go door to door. Hey, my name's Jeffrey and I'm a sex offender. Just, you need to know. I moved in. He's a guy that when he moves into your neighborhood, they send everybody a fucking mailer with his picture on it. Yeah, let's introduce him to my daughter and her friends. Then, you know, but he pays these people, right? That's what's fucked up about it. It's people like this who have created a system where they are billionaires. That is such a wildly disproportionate amount. And this guy doesn't deserve it. He's got all of this power, and these people are powerless. These students, these teenagers, they have to take $300 to give him a massage. Or, you know, he pays him $75,000 a year to be his assistant or whatever and, like, get phone numbers for him. But it's like, well, you know, if that's all I have to do, that's pretty good. That's better than having a real job. It's amazing how they've created this world where it takes very little money to buy people. It's $8 an hour to own somebody. That's insane. And it's because of people like that. People who have $1 billion fucking dollars in a ranch, in an island, in a fucking Parisian apartment. And they have, you know, he owns all these apartments near his house where he, like, keeps these women. Like, in a certain way, the guy was a genius because he was just scaling his pickup artistry. But he was also doing it without giving the women a choice. I mean, they were kidnapping these women. They were holding them against their will in a lot of cases. It's like, that's what's amazing is, like, there's so many of them that seem to be, like, into it and, like, down. It's like, what the fuck? Was he forcing them, or, like, they seem to love the guy? Sick. What the hell is wrong with these women? I blame women. I blame the victims. They shouldn't have been cock-teasing them like that. They shouldn't have been wearing those slutty outfits. JK. Okay, that's just my, I'm based, okay? That's just my based sense of humor. I'm an edgelord now, everybody. That's the only way to get fucking views, is to be like an asshole. That's what I've figured out. The reason why nobody watches me is because I don't, like, I don't say the N-word or, like, try to fight people. I'm not like some fucking moronic based Chad who knows a bunch of dumb, like, 4chan lingo. I try to Mog and Looks Max and Mew and I don't even know what the fucking... Well, the clavicular guy said Mog, it comes from a pickup artist term, A-Mog. A-Mog was alpha male of the group, meaning to out-alpha somebody. If you get A-Mogged, it means you're trying to, like, talk to some chicks and, like, their boyfriend comes over. Or, like, some guy who's, like, more secure than you. And he humiliates you. That's getting A-Mogged. And you have to sort of, like, shrink away and be like, ugh, I am the beta. Ah! My seed is not as... It doesn't have the sexual marketplace value. It's all about your sexual market value, people. Just Mog. That's all that matters. Get on the internet and Mog. It worked for clavicular. Get plastic surgery immediately. What are you waiting for? Fix your fucking face. I'm getting height lengthening surgery, everybody. I've decided. I can't live as a 5'8" man anymore. I can't do this. I don't identify as a 5'8" man. I identify as 6'5". So I'm getting the leg lengthening surgery, everybody. I've decided. I'm gonna take out a huge loan at a high interest rate. And I'm gonna be tall, god damn it. These women are gonna respect me. Like Epstein, that goddamn 6-foot Epstein. Oh wait, another creepy. Okay, so I don't think this was the case when I was in school, but maybe it was. The company that takes, like, school pictures on, like, a mass level is called Lifetouch. Which, first of all, that is the creepiest fucking name for it. They take children's school pictures. It's called Lifetouch? No. How did they get away with that? That's highly inappropriate. The only way it could be worse if it was called Kitty Touch or something. Kitty Touch. This is controversial. How do you talk about this stuff? You just gotta go for the throat. Lifetouch. So anyway, Epstein was emailing with the guy at Lifetouch, and once again, I think this is really scary because it indicates he was like farming and like combing huge samples of the population to recruit. What did it say? He was getting 3 massages a day. So it was like a conveyor belt, constant victims coming to Epstein. It said he did this to 1,000 like teenage girls. Like that, I think that was after he got fucking, decreed a sex offender. He like abused like 1,000 teenage girls after that. That's like a fucking Henry Ford of molestation. Which, I guess that's what the wrestling coaches at Ohio State did, or that's what Sandusky did. They found these, or Catholic priests, they find these positions where it's just like they have, victims coming in all day, every day to them. They're systematizing their kink, their and so the idea, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense from an intelligence, like, okay, yeah, the CIA, of course, they're the ones that are taking all the fucking school pictures, and like, it's not just about the school pictures. They're building a database of all of the fucking children, and every year of your development. Of course, that's the FBI or the CIA or God. Apparently it is child predators. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Epstein was looking through the yearbook pictures, trying to find victims. He probably was getting a kick out of it. And what does that say that, like, the person who's the CEO of that... I mean, I didn't read the email specifically, the child or the Lifetouch email. But, like, that's his interest. That's why he's in communication with the president of Bard. That's why he has an office at Harvard. That's why he goes to Interlochen. It's because he's scoping out piece of ass. And he's financially enabled enough to do it on a huge scale. And he's created this position for himself where sort of like people... they want to look the other way because he's given them a bunch of money. They put his name on a fucking building. I mean, Interlochen, he literally has a cabin or something. That's the Epstein cabin. It's like, how would you feel if you were a fucking teenager that went to school there? And your school, like, was fine with that and enabled this guy. And then, like, they helped him. Fucking, there's all these people at fucking Harvard that Epstein was, like, in contact with. I mean, Les Wexner was one of the biggest board members and financial investors in Ohio State University. He had a huge stake in Ohio State. And I think it's because he wanted to shape people's programming and create employees for himself, create consumers for himself, create mindless, goy fucking people slop, wearing fashion slop. So I don't know. I mean, it feels like people are reading the files with sort of like, morbid curiosity, sensationalistic kind of interest, scintillating, scandalous kind of smut. It's everything. It's, there's so many things wrapped up in it. That's another thing that's crazy about it. Is it's like he had influence on presidents, right? Clinton, Trump. And so it's just I don't know. It's like a Pandora's box, that they've opened. Like, now that we've seen into that, now that the regular people in this country have seen into that, have seen what really goes on, have seen the ways that they organize us for their own self-interest. They use us as a profit base, as a slave base, to do all the work, to pay all the taxes, to suffer. They want us to work till we're exhausted and eat terrible food and just live these ugly kind of piggy lives. Dumbed down, animalistic, ready to be soldiers, ready to die. I think, these NDAs should be illegal. Because that's like that's the weapon of people like Trump and Epstein. And it's like, all of these cases, it's like, well, I would say something, but I signed an NDA. I was on Epstein's staff, but I signed an NDA. Fucking Epstein's emails have this footer. I posted in my Instagram stories. It's just like so fucking crazy. Let me read it real fast. Do I have it on here? No, it's not on this phone. It's like, what gives them the right to have that much leverage over you? That just like, hey, you have to sign this if you want to work here. And that means like you can't talk about anything that happens here. Like that, what right do they have to say? That should be illegal. That's un-American. This NDA thing. How long has that existed? That feels like something they invented. Let me look it up real fast. I'm curious what the history of the non-disclosure agreement is. Since the 1940s, appearing in maritime life, becoming common in the tech industry by the 1980s. They were developed to protect trade secrets and proprietary information. Their use has expanded significantly to include workplace, financial, and legal settlements. See, this is what I'm talking about. This feels like unconstitutional to me, to be honest. Early usage, early limited mentions of confidentiality. See that? Okay, whatever. By the 1970s, they were used. See, something in our society has changed. We're just like, people don't, they don't have, there's no integrity. There's no sense of like adulthood. Like, everybody's just like a heel in wrestling now, where it's just like everybody cheats and everybody just like, they don't understand their rights. They don't understand, like, they're being exploited. They have a right to fucking get paid more, to whatever. Like, this is a huge infringement on your fucking like First Amendment rights, if you ask me. This is a violation of the First Amendment, if you ask me. And it's relatively new. Okay, tech boom, 1980s. This is the AI answer, by the way. I'm not sure if this is like really accurate. NDAs became standard in the technology industry, particularly with companies like IBM, to prevent employees from taking trade secrets to competitors. Modern expansion. Today, NDAs are widespread for protecting intellectual property and increasingly in settling personal disputes. Though they're used to hide misconduct, is facing legal scrutiny. There you go. They should be. It just seems like something that became more and more prevalent, more and more normalized. I never even heard of a fucking NDA until Porter Brooks. The first, well, I probably shouldn't say that. I don't think I fuck the NDA. I don't care. I'll say whatever I want. Like, this guy made us sign an NDA, and it's like, he was kind of a shady dude. Not that there was really anything to talk about. It wasn't like we saw anything like really bad. You know, like he was sort of like a tantrum throwing guy, but that was about it. He was sort of a nice guy in a behind the scenes, you know. He was nice to me, even though he had a little bit of a, you know, it was funny. But I didn't see anything that I was like, oh my God, like, he said the N-word. Like with Trump, there's probably things that, well, I signed an NDA, so I can't really talk about how he shits his pants or whatever the hell it is. Such a fucking joke. Such a fucking violation of our rights. Well, part of what I wanted to talk about is, well, like with Naomi Klein, right? I was watching a YouTube of her the other day. Shock doctrine. Part of the thesis of the shock doctrine is nations were applying the same techniques that doctors were using with shock therapy. Like, that's the metaphor, but it's also like weird how they're equally, it's just like a scaled version of the same thing. They're equally kind of like similar. They're equally applicable, but just like in different. So it's like the idea is they do certain things with shock therapy where, like, when the person gets shocked, they kind of will accept, they're more pliable. Oh, I didn't talk about the trumpet flowers. And so if you do this with like a crisis, right? There's like a shock, like 9/11, there's a shock to everybody. And then it's like you use that crisis to get what you want. You have an agenda in place. And so you use the crisis, like you want to do a war in Iraq? Well, boom. 9/11 happens, and it's like, okay, well, these people, Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. Everybody's shocked and like scared. And so it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, kick their ass. You know, we're in fight or flight mode right now. And so it's like, I think you sort of see that with the Epstein thing. It's like on a small scale, at the very least, they're like abusing minors. Let's just say that. And probably like, you know, forcing themselves sexually on minors. At the very least, it seems Epstein is like not only guilty of that, but like systematizing it in like a huge fucking scale. Where it's like he's, you know, it's like an operation. It's like he's got women that work for him. He's got 3 girlfriends that work for him that like recruit for him. He's got he's farming at all these different schools like actively, and that's what he does all day apparently. So he just like shops for like teenage fucking girls at like the most prestigious institutions in our country. How the fuck does he get away with this? He's so powerful that he'll kill you, disappear you. Like, not only that, but he may have caused 9/11. Or had foreknowledge of it, or like knew the people that did it. One thing that guy said that was pretty interesting, the guy on Ezra Klein, is he was talking about, let me get my incense real fast. He was talking about, oh fuck. No one's watching anyway, it doesn't matter. It's embarrassing. I've been shadow banned because I'm just spewing way too much fucking truth about the files. Yeah, so, I mean, if they're systematizing that abuse, think about what they're doing to the rest of us. Or, like, they seem to be thinking on that scale. Financially. I mean, I remember hearing somebody at my job say something about the fashion, or the people, you know, Les Wexner was into, like, boys, let's just say. And that's why he liked the models that he liked. The Victoria's Secret angels and shit. Which, you know, if you look at their bodies, they're not, like, buxom. You know, they're not like Marilyn Monroe. They're famously, like, thin. And the idea was that they were sort of unconsciously trying to, like, indoctrinate everybody into, like, their sort of, like, predilection for boys through Victoria's Secret. It's like the models look like teenage boys. But not only that, right? It's like this unattainable for most people. It's like they're tall, they're skinny, they've got fat in the right places. They're D cups. Somehow they're skinny and they're D cups. Good luck. Good, you know, there's not that many. They're in the genetic 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Oh, wait a minute. Let me put this over here. We'll never look like that. You know, we're lesser than. You know, it's like, how much fucking discourse has there been about body positivity and not fat shaming women? It's like, Les Wexner was one of the big, and Epstein, you know, was there too. He was his partner. They were doing gang stuff. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say, is like, you know, the emails are like just a very, very, you know, Epstein didn't want a paper trail. He did a lot of stuff on the phone. Like, the emails are just like the shreds of evidence that we have of, like, shit. Who knows what happened face to face, in person, what the hell these people were talking about, what they were doing. You know, they were trying to hide what they were doing in the emails by talking about pizza or grape soda or whatever. And we're still able to sort of piece together have I just become a pathetic kook on the internet? I mean, if I was playing a video game, I bet people would be watching. I need to get some kind of fucking video game system. Because if I was playing a video game while I did this, I bet some people would watch. I did just have a viewer. There was a viewer for a second. I don't know why my viewership has gone down. People don't want to hear about my fucking Alex Jones conspiracy thoughts about the Epstein files. Well, to me, it's not really about. I mean, sure, yeah, the child trafficking, the island, sure, obviously, but like that is an incarnated version of the way they're fucking our whole society, and sort of like it's wealth inequality, really. Epstein is able to do this stuff because he has so much fucking power. He's got influential friends. So it's like if he gets arrested, somebody at the police station, it's like one of those things in a movie where somebody gets a call and they're like, you can go. You can't touch this guy. He's intelligence. It's above our pay grade. Sorry, sir, that we bothered you. Continue molesting children. in plain sight. And so, yeah, these emails are just like, it's like trying to piece together crimes with just little fragments of the after the fact. But they've also redacted a lot of the names, right? And we've only got half the shit and not really a whole lot of the pictures and things. They blocked out a lot of the stuff in the pictures. You can't even tell what the fuck you're looking at. Not that you want to see some of it, but it would, I don't necessarily want to see the pictures, but like it would be nice if they could do some kind of AI descriptor just so you know what the fuck there's pictures of. You know, if they have pictures of Trump with fucking underage girls or whoever, Bill Gates, then Howard Lutnick, then we should at least know about it. You know, the stuff they've released so far, there's not really anything too incriminating from the pictures. There's no like child pizza or whatever. Not that we want to see that, but like if there is some kind of real strange pictures or even just like, you know, incriminating pictures of certain people with underage parties, shall we say. Like, I think it's one of those things that like this story is almost too, it's the biggest scandal in hundreds of years, I would say. Or, you know, it's revealing something that was probably going on the whole time in one capacity or another. It's all sexploitation. Every business has that. Hollywood. You know, these people establish little nests for themselves, little clubhouses for themselves, and they want to organize everything to their convenience. You know, just shovel the girls into my townhouse, and then I'll take them to my fucking ranch, my island. Won't that be fun? You want to go to my island? That sounds fun, doesn't it? It's the last time you're ever seen on this planet. They put you in the wood chipper. It's dark. So I mean, maybe just like if we saw what was actually in there, we couldn't handle it as a society. It's already like crazy. It does feel like some kind of societal, like, I don't know, moment of an Oedipus where he stabs his eyeballs out. It's the climax of America. Like, oh my God, what? The president and the Secretary of Commerce were in on 9/11, or, you know, at least the 9/11 was caused by X, Y, or Z for this reason, and these people knew about it, basically, and had no empathy or, like, conscience about it. All their employees died. They collected a bunch of money. They justify it how. They don't care. They don't think there's a God. They don't think that there's a hell. It's all part of a holy war. It's all part of prophecy. It's tough love. It's tough medicine on the human race. We need our holy war. We need our crusade. We need Israel. We need the Jews back in the homeland so the Messiah can come back and we can all go to heaven. So let's fucking cause 9/11. Let's get these people fired up about war. Clinton was saying something about, and I didn't know this either, but apparently There was a deal on the table for Palestine to have have its own state. The capital was going to be in East Jerusalem. They were going to get 4% of Israel. They were going to get like a bunch of the West Bank, and they turned it down. He said Arafat turned it down. This was like, I think, one of the last things Clinton tried to do in office. You know, people don't really realize that. They think Hillary Clinton, pro-Israel, AIPAC, but it's like Clinton did try to, you know, if any politicians have had like you know, like sympathetic to Palestinians, it would be the Clintons. They're the ones that did something about it, really. They tried to like get the Palestinians their own fucking state. And they got the Jews to agree to it. And they rejected it. The Palestinians rejected it, apparently. I was alive and I didn't really know that. I vaguely remember it happening. Oh, I did want to talk about JFK Jr. It was around the time of JFK Jr. We'll get to that in a second. There's this mini-series about JFK Jr. But more than that, what JFK Jr. represented. And how evil works. You know, I mean, all the Kennedys got killed. Because think about what might have been for America. Lifetouch. Lifetouch is the school picture company that takes school pictures that is indicated in the Epstein files. It's sick. It's sick what they're doing. They should be exposed. You work for Lifetouch? Holy shit. You took pictures or... How does it work? It's like a big company or... That's okay. That's interesting. Lifetouch. Were you a photographer or... I worked for limited brands. That's what I'm saying. Is that's how they employ us. We work for the fucking... we have to. We don't have a choice. School photographer. There you go. What do? You upload it to like Lifetouch servers or something, or how do or is it your job to like print it out and shit, or how does that work? Do you develop it? It's digital now, I'm assuming. Do you have like is there like a standard? Okay, many of the photographers. 1 short year. What happened? Is it sketchy? This is probably why you clicked it, because it said Lifetouch. And I don't know that much about Lifetouch. The only thing it sucked. Okay, so it just sucked. Why? The kids are crazy or a pain in the ass, or are you on SD cards, or how does it work? Like, I'm very curious how Lifetouch, lots of labor, lots of driving. I see. So you're just driving to a bunch of different fucking schools. And you take it like in the auditorium of the gym or something. You probably have a bunch of equipment. You probably got to set up a backdrop. You've got like some kind of fucking stands and shit. Lights. Some kind of... You probably have like just a flash. Yeah, I am a videographer. So I did... like I said, I worked for limited brands. Shooting various... All computers. Interesting. Yeah, okay. All digital. Yeah, that's how the photographers worked at the places that I shot stuff. Is like they have a cord that goes to like a fucking hard drive or something. And so Lifetouch, they have like, is that in the cloud or something? Or they get the hard drive? Or why the fuck are they called Lifetouch? For God's sake. How on earth can they get away with that? They're taking pictures of children. And, I'm a videographer, so I get it. Like, as a photographer, it's a gig. Like being a wedding videographer. It's like, it's like a way to make money. It's like, being a wedding photographer. A lot of people are wedding photographers. You make like, $1,000 or something. You get to eat. It's a nice... fucking ceremony. Video is it's a good gig, but lifetouch, I'm sure I was when I was a wedding DJ, I had like wedding DJ like school dances. The kids were kind of a pain in the ass. I was a wedding DJ at like a high school homecoming dance or something, some kind of fucking high school dance in Whitehall. Whitehall was like not that good of a school district, so it was like I don't know. It was okay for what it was, but the kids were kind of annoying. Lifetouch. Well, anyway, I don't know. It seems to me like why was Epstein in contact with Lifetouch? And why are they called Lifetouch? Are they secret? Is this secretly part of the satanic? It was Whitehall in Ohio, which I'd never really been to be honest. Whitehall was always like sort of a part of. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. Whitehall was like part of the map. It was south of where my dad lived in Gahanna. Gahanna was like sort of a nice neighborhood. It was sort of a good school district. Whitehall was like a little bit more dangerous. School was not as good. The kids at the dance, they were okay. They all wanted to hear some fucking song. It wasn't Teach Me How to Doogie, but there was some song that was exactly like Teach Me How to Doogie, except it was like some kind of like underground. I never heard of it before or since, but these kids all wanted to hear this fucking song. And one of them had the CD in their car, so they ran out and got it, and I put it on. They went ballistic. What the fuck that song was. Because like every kid kept requesting this song. It's like, I have never heard of this. I don't think anybody ever has. It was like some weird secret song that just like existed. There was a genre of songs that were like Teach Me How to Dougie, I think. There was like a couple of them that kind of, I don't know, or something. Maybe it wasn't Teach Me How to Dougie, but there was a more popular song that was like part of the same dance craze. I don't remember. It was weird. These kids were plugged into something, but they just kept requesting this fucking song. It would be like if they came up and were like 6'7", 6'7", just over and over again. Like, shut up. We don't have it. I don't even know what that is. I didn't even follow like regular pop music. It's like I thought Flo Rida was like, okay, this is like what the kids are listening to. Flo Rida. This is what, fucking 14-year-olds want to hear. So anyway, Lifetouch. I think it was they were harvesting, their victims systematically on a mass scale. They had, theoretically, all these pictures are in the cloud or something. That's probably what Epstein did for fun. He's just on his phone scrolling Lifetouch database in his private tab. It's about logistics and systematizing getting what they want as much as possible. In a big way, in as big a way as possible. It was also for badging systems. Interesting. What's a badging system? Are you from Michigan or? Yeah, I'm from Ohio, so photo is closest thing to biometrics. Jesus Christ. Okay, so they're literally, God knows what they're doing. They're like, they're analyzing children's biometrics somehow to see if they're fit to be victims of their island sacrifice rituals. Oh my God, it's dark. I mean, the Lifetouch thing, that really is what set me off. And why is he emailing David Stern so much? What the fuck? Why is Epstein so tight with fucking David Stern? The NBA commissioner. What the hell does that portend? What does that say about the NBA? And what are they trying to brainwash us with? If this, I'm telling you, Epstein is trying to control people's formatting. That's why they write the fucking textbooks. Like, they want to control what the goy are thinking, and our whole kind of personality. And they want us to be suckers and have no critical thinking. David Stern is like super buddies with Epstein. They're meeting where, that's what they're always saying in their emails. Where are you? Oh, I'm going to be in New York for a couple days. I'm in Florida. I'm on the island. I'm in the island till September. I'm on my ranch. I'm baby farming on my ranch. I'm genetically seeding the human race with my superior seed. Where are you? So it's like they're all part of this international jet set that like has no allegiance to any one place. Like they don't give a fuck about America. They don't give a fuck. It's just like he's got an apartment in Paris. He's got his own fucking island. He's in New Mexico. It's like, fucking they're all over the fucking place. They're going to London. Basketball talent. There you go. Well, I don't know. I mean, they can look at the fucking biometrics of the high school yearbooks and be like, okay. I guess that's how they think about it. They think they're being scientific, I guess. When really, I think they're just thinking with their dicks in like the most extreme way possible. Like, god damn. Is there anybody that is like industrialized their fucking like the fucking large school districts use the photos for IDs. Okay. So larger school districts, the kids have photo IDs. That's all a part of it. They just want, it's a post 9/11 surveillance. They want pictures of everybody. I mean, Limited was like that. You could not get into the building unless they checked who you were, what you were doing. I think they took your picture. They gave you a fucking, they gave you like a badge with your picture and your name on it. They wouldn't even let you in the fucking building until they had, a record of who you were if they needed it. It was gated. There were security guards. There was multiple layers of security. And it was a similar layout to these isolated places where it was like it was walled in and there was nothing there. These buildings were kind of spread out and they were kind of sinister looking. I remember as a little kid when we'd go to pick up people at Limited Brands or like deliver flowers or whatever. It looks like the fucking Death Star or something. I mean, it's like black. At least it did back in the 90s. It was like these, they were kind of chic looking in a way. They were like these kind of like, they looked like these sexy kind of makeup compacts or something, like black. They were kind of like ribbed, or there was like a red line. It's Limited Brand, so it's like it's all about fashion and aesthetics to some degree. Not that I don't really think those brands got by like having the, like was Victoria's Secret like really that great of fucking design or something? Like, I think it was the first corporate mass. It was not a small business. It was in a mall, it was like, it was a brand name. I mean, Victoria's Secret was like, that was the gospel of limited. I mean, it's limited brands, branding. They probably fucking invented it, you know? There's Freudian madmen shit going on in those buildings where they are like extremely scientific about how they analyze the consumer animal, and they explain it in laser sharp detail. The verbiage of the marketing strategy behind the scenes is crazy. I don't even know how they do it. They have great writers. Some of these people, you just like hear what they're saying about, we have to obsolete her bra wardrobe. The verbiage for everything, it's an ombre. It's insane. Everything has got some kind of fucking secret sauce in it. It's all punched up. So it's like, that's why they get paid. But it's like, the closest thing I've ever been to a Nazi rally is the limited brands. The Les Wexner like team, when he gave his like big speech, it was like, wow, now I know what it's like to have been at Triumph of the Will or whatever. And so that's why they're successful, because it's just like, bam, they turn it into statistics, they turn it into like psychology. And they're kind of forcing a certain psychology. I mean, Victoria's Secret was like the first thing that was like mass, like lingerie. Like the Victoria's Secret catalog was sort of like this in-between space where like it wasn't Playboy magazine, where it was like you had to order it. It was sort of like acknowledged as sort of being like pornography. But it wasn't like the Sears catalog or something like it was hot stuff. When I was in puberty, if you could get your hands on a Victoria's Secret catalog with fucking Tyra Banks and Alessandra Ambrosia, you were like pretty happy about that, because it was harder to find like sexual imagery. The internet wasn't just like instant high-def porn all the time like it has been for the last 20 years. It was more like, whoa, we rarely get to see this. We rarely get to see in this underwear, you know, like it was lacy and like embroidered and shit. So it was projecting an image of like, I don't know, some kind of high-class tryst or something. You're meeting your little pastry of a piece of ass. You know, it was still like objectifying women. Definitely. There was a lot of really great objectification. Not in a bad way. It wasn't, let's say, dehumanizing per se. I think it was like they were, you know, they were goddesses. But you got to think, like, what the fuck were they trying to indoctrinate people with? I mean, they would do these direct mailers. That was like, you know, people I knew in the business would do like these direct mail fucking, which is like they're just sending it to your house without, I guess you might sign up for that or something, but like it was basically just like harassment. And so, I don't know, they're putting sinful imagery in these Christian minds. Well, I mean, that's what Epstein's into, right? Epstein, like, Les Wexner's not a heterosexual. Epstein is like, that's all he cares about is like fucking sexually abusing women as much as possible on an unprecedented scale. In a certain way, like maybe that's how he thought about everything. I don't know. That's just your math mind working? Like, oh, well, if I just scaled this up, you know, that's sort of how pickup artists think. I mean, when I was on Tinder in the original iteration, you could swipe right as much as you wanted. You know, it was like there weren't now I think there's limits on it or something. I don't know. I haven't been on it in a long time, but like you can't just swipe right on everything. There's certain limits. But it was like, why not just like increase your potential matches as much as possible? It's a numbers game, right? It is a numbers game. And if you're rich and you have like all these insane like bachelor pads stashed all over the fucking world in these like sort of lifestyles of the rich and famous locations. Look at this. This guy he has 8 different fucking houses that like easily, 40 people could live in his New York townhouse. You could turn that into a fucking apartment building. Like it's practically as big as this building. His fucking townhouse. I think it was a boarding school or something. It looks like a fucking embassy. It's on the Upper East Side, so it's like there's all these like embassies. There's a French embassy and the Italian. It's like Epstein's townhouse is as big, if not bigger, than like these fucking cultural attaché embassies and shit. It's like if you're a chick and he like offers to pay for you to go to dental school, and he offers to give you like an apartment on the Upper East Side and like, yeah, you can tell with his emails that he's secretive about certain things. He holds his cards pretty close to his chest. He's not, he doesn't type a whole lot. His answers are incredibly, like, terse. You could tell, I think that's part of his allure is like, you can tell the guy's got tons of secrets and you don't know what they are. You don't know what he's hiding. You don't know what's real. And like a lot of these scumbags, he casts this vibe that like, oh, he's charismatic, like Trump. Everybody who meets Trump's like, I liked him. He's a cool guy. He was really nice to me. Even when he meets like fucking when he met Mamdani and shit, like they sort of got along. It's like Epstein's kind of like that too. It's like when you see him, it's like, oh, he's got aura. Bro's got aura. You're like, I can see why this guy is like charming to people because he's just super relaxed. You can tell he's not neurotic, he's just not, he's not full of self-doubt or something. That's something a lot of people remarked on like the interviews. He doesn't say, which is a sign of, I'm not sure what. Confidence. My friend from back home was like that. He said in Columbus State, where we went to college, I forget what class it was. There was some class we were in together. And it was like, I think it was a public speaking class maybe. And he got up and you were supposed to just like talk extemporaneously, introduce yourself, whatever, for like a couple minutes. All right, thanks for watching. Yeah, please come back and check it out. We'll be talking about the files and other shit too. But when he got up and talked, the teacher afterwards was like, that was remarkable. That was the first I can remember anybody getting up and speaking for minutes at a time without saying like stammering, stuttering. This is something that people remarked about Epstein too, is he doesn't go, which is sort of a sign of low confidence, I guess. That's sort of a tell. It's a verbal placeholder. If you talk fast, if you're going, you're trying to like, your mind's not thinking that fast. You're trying to like hold this attention while you think of the right word or your next thought. Epstein doesn't do that. Epstein's like always composed. There's no like stuttering, you know, like me, I'm saying, when people start to hear you do that, that's when they go, okay, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So I think it's a part of being a con man, is being charismatic, being well liked, being having good vibe. Like with Epstein, a lot of these women seem to like him a lot. They seem to want to help him with what he's trying to do. They're part of his system. They work for him. They that's like, I don't know. Has he got them brainwashed? Has he got them what has he got? That it's it money? It's his calmness, it's his they can tell he's a bad boy. But they're not really sure to what extent. They've heard rumors of this or that, but thanks for watching Mast. See, I don't know. More and more people are getting into streaming. Yeah, the lifetouch thing, that's really creepy. I mean, this is something I wanted to talk about, is like my own personal experience with this. Not in any direct way, but the community that I grew up in, there was weird rumors about like the wrestling team. The wrestling team was like the big deal in Grandview. And not that there was any kind of like systematic abuse per se that I heard about, but like you'd hear weird shit about, because it's like they're all taking showers together and shit. Or like, they'd all like watch a porn movie together or something. Or the rumor that I heard was that, and I don't think this was necessarily true, but who knows, is that they ran through the halls of the high school naked, like jacking off on the lockers of the girls that they liked. I don't really know if that's true. That was just sort of something that I heard when I was in high school. But there was a guy in my community, I won't name any names, but he was sort of suspected of, I never heard anything concrete, but he had weird relationships with a lot of kids my age. Like he would take kids on vacations with him or like to his house. And he had, I guess he was a mentor in a way. That's not to say that he was doing anything sexual with them. I never heard that totally, really. But, it was still kind of a weird fucking setup. And you're like, what is this really about? So there was always like a Twin Peaks kind of vibe to my hometown, where it was like sort of, you call it small, I don't know. It was a relatively happy place, walkable, tree, community USA, Wyman Woods, but there was always weird shit going on. And like I said, the Epstein thing, he lived in New Albany. His whole fucking shit was in New Albany. They were trafficking women there to this sort of isolated estate where they couldn't escape. And we were in the shadow of that. We were being programmed by that through mall culture, Abercrombie and Fitch, etc., etc. Victoria's Secret pageant, MTV House of Style. And so anyway, in 6th grade, this was like the peak of like the Abercrombie and Fitch year, and it's a peak of middle school and puberty, and so you're just starting to like girls, but it's like you have, you're still like frustrated because you're in sixth grade. There's like not a whole lot you can do. It's hard to even figure out like how you gonna get a date with a girl. You're in sixth grade. Like it just felt impossible to me. It's like how would I you're too young. Where would you meet? What the hell would you do? Like you go to their house, it's just not, and yet you're like you have crushes on people. It's your hormones are starting to go berserk for some reason. That's all new to you. And you're watching these highly sexualized images on TV, MTV, whatever, Spring Break, Wild on the Riviera, or what, you're seeing Tyra Banks and lingerie or whatever. You're watching scrambled porn, scrambled Playboy channel. No, that was later. But anyway, there was this girl that I was really into, Emily Hickman. Oh my God. I sat next to Emily Hickman. Thank God. Because in those years, seating was chosen by the teacher. So it was like sort of not up to you where you'd sit. But you'd change a few times a year. The teacher would change it sort of arbitrarily. And so, God, I remember when the teacher put me right next to Emily Hickman. And oh my God, it was like the greatest thing that ever happened to me because I was so into Emily Hickman. I just thought she was the hottest woman like alive. And she was in my homeroom, and I was just so into Emily Hickman. I don't know. She had my sixth grade imagination. She was just like, and so I sat next to her in math class, Mr. Hain. Thank you, Mr. Hain, for hooking it up. And, I flirted with her basically every day, and she seemed to be into it. At that point, it was before I'd really, been rejected or whatever, been frustrated for years. So I was still kind of, not afraid. I don't even know how I did it, but, I had a pretty good rapport with Emily Hickman where it's like every day I'd be kind of making her laugh, and, I think she was kind of into me, actually. In a way, I do think so. Just the way she looked at me, you could kind of tell. But Emily Hickman was, one of the hot, popular she was a fashion chick. She was sort of like a Gwen Stefani. She had that kind of style a little bit. She was cool, she really had good style, she was funny. She had kind of an angular, she was, but anyway, we got on pretty well in math class, but she was dating this guy, Pat Hardy. And Pat Hardy was sort of we had a history. He was sort of like a part of the military-industrial complex. And he was one of the cool guys in the hot, he looked like fucking Luke Perry or Channing Tatum or something. He had a very Abercrombie look. He was muscular. He was on the wrestling team. All of the cool guys were on the wrestling team. I was not on the wrestling team. I wasn't even into pro wrestling at that point. I was just I don't even know what the hell I did. I was into golf or something. And I was I had a huge crush on Emily Hickman, who was, so I had been friends with Pat Hardy in kindergarten, and we were really good buddies. Me and Pat Hardy and Johnny Vogel were extremely close friends. And there was something where he gave me, his dad was in the Marines or something. And so he, even at an extremely young age, all he would talk about was he wanted to be a fucking Navy SEAL. And he was going to be a fucking Navy SEAL. When he was 5 years old, this is what he's talking about. And it was sort of believable. He was he was always kind of he had kind of a Sean Penn, his posture. He was just a little bit of a bully. The kids, the cool kids, the popular kids were kind of assholes. They were a little bit like Vanilla Ice, They were sort of like gang, like wiggerish type, a little bit. I hate to use the word, but they had a little bit of that. And I would go over to Pat Hardy's house. We'd hang out, and he gave me this hat that was like an army hat. It was like a fatigue hat, and I don't remember exactly what happened with it, but there was something where my dad like said they tried to take it back or something, and my dad was like, "Well, they gave it to him," or like he didn't want me to. I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was some reason we had a falling out about this fucking army hat, which I really liked the army hat. I thought it was cool as a little kid. I think my dad didn't want me to have it, maybe. Because it was like military shit. And Pat Hardy, was like, I don't know. Even at a young age, he was like this little universal soldier, like war machine Goldberg fucking guy. And so anyway, I think Pat Hardy just sort of decided that I was like, a fag or whatever. I'm sorry to use that word, but fast forward to 6th grade, Pat Hardy is dating Emily Hickman, like the woman of my dreams when I'm 12. And, so it's like, this was an early lesson in life for me that like just life is evil. All of the worst people end up with like the best women, and it just sucks. Just this world is run by evil. I don't even know what Epstein, it's run by whatever the fuck that is. And we're sort of pulling the strings on that. But so anyway, there was one day where I was walking home from the library, and somehow Pat Hardy sort of rolled up next to me. And I had seen Pat Hardy say something to Emily Hickman. He was like, they were like leaving school. She was getting in a van to go, and he said, "I love you." When they're 12 or 11 or whatever. So it's like, maybe Pat Hardy's feelings were real. Maybe he really did love Emily Hickman. And maybe in a way they were meant to be together. I mean, they were both hot, like intimidating, sort of like fashionable Abercrombie. Like, he looked like Channing Tatum or something. And he had that vibe. He had that sort of like judgmental, intimidating, like fuck you kind of apathetic vibe that like I'm not really like that. I'm more of I want to be nice to people. I was taught to sort of like, be affable or whatever. I don't know. So anyway, Pat Hardy rolls up to me. I'm walking home from the library one day after school. It's gray. It's Ohio. It's like probably early fall or, I don't even know. It's grim outside. Pat Hardy rolls up to me, and Richard Cotterman and Brian Truck are there. And I like Richard Cotterman and Brian Truck. They're nice guys. They're my friends even still, kind of. Even though I haven't talked to them in 20 years plus. 15 years. They're great guys. And they were sort of just bystanders. They were just sort of there because they were friends, because they were all sort of jocks. I think they were all on the wrestling team. But Richard Cotterman and Brian Truck were like nice guys. They weren't evil. They didn't want to be in Navy SEALs or anything. So Pat Hardy rolls up to me, and he starts doing, it was incredible to witness, actually. He starts kind of doing this kind of monologue. It felt like from a fucking movie. It felt like if Spicoli rolled up to you, or Sean Penn and fucking, whatever that war movie was he was in, Casualties of War, rolls up to you. And Pat Hardy sort of rolls up on me, and he's like, I forget exactly what his whole spiel was, but it sort of concluded with, something about like jacking off until the room was like full of sperm. I think he was talking about Emily Hickman. I don't remember if he like referred to like, hey, you like Emily Hickman or something, but it seemed like that's probably what it was about. He put his hand around my shoulder, and he's like, Proctor, I don't know if you remember, but like a long, long, long time ago, we were friends. You remember that? We were like best buds and blah, blah, blah. And so he does this whole like slow monologue where he's like, really, and I'm like, is Pat Hardy gonna kick my ass? Like Richard Cotterman and Brian Trucker there, like, are they gonna fucking kick my ass? Are they all gonna start kicking my ass? Like, I'd never had my ass kicked before. That just didn't really happen in our school. Like, it wasn't like a fighting place where you got beat up, thank God. But Pat Hardy, even at that age, was like, he was jacked and like, he was an intimidating fucking bully kind of a guy. And so you just didn't even want to interact with him really at all. I had no interactions with this guy ever because he was like cool and I was like this kind of weirdo outlier guy. I wasn't exactly a nerd, but I wasn't like part of the popular kids. They sort of became this other thing in middle school, the Abercrombie mob of like assholes, the fickle 400 or whatever. And I was like this hippie, I don't even know, afraid of everything, child of divorce, trying to be a writer. So anyway, he does like this long monologue about, we used to be friends, but your dad, like such a fag that like, he like made you take this hat back. Like your dad is really a fucking, you know, like fag. Like why would he do that? Like that's so gay. I don't think he used that language, but that was basically the effect of what he was saying. Was like, this was when you got cut out of like the cool crowd. Was like when you like Indian gave this army hat or whatever. And in a certain way, I think that was my dad just looking out for me and being like, you don't want to be a part of this. You don't want to be a part of like the military, like Epstein wrestling, you know, child, whatever the hell that is, in crowd. You don't want to be on the lifetouch radar. You don't want them scoping you out in these yearbooks and shit. Just like stay away from these kind of kids. They're just, what the fuck, you know, like you want to hang out with some kid that's like this laconic kind of like muscle head, you know, like wannabe soldier, like, and he, you know, he wasn't necessarily a horrible guy, you know, throughout, but he was somehow super cool, super popular, and he didn't have to do shit. It was just all vibe. He was like the guy in Encino Man. He was just like that guy. Dom DeLuise's kid, Peter DeLuise. The Shoish, that guy. He's exactly like that guy. He had that vibe, and it worked. I mean, Emily Hickman, come on. He's dating Emily Hickman. They're in love. Meanwhile, I'm trying to like woo her in math class. She's really seeming to be into it. I don't know. One day she wore this thing to school that like bared her midriff, which in like that age was like pretty, you know, risque. And I remember gym class that day. Because you're just going through all this weird, you know, and you don't know anything about anything, and so you're just like trying to figure it out. So anyway, Pat Hardy's walking me home, and somehow, you know, after talking about this hat, and we're not friends, you're not cool, you haven't been cool in a long time, you're lame, you're fucking wimp. Like, he didn't say any of that shit, but like, then he started to go into some kind of like sexual thing. I think he was talking about Emily Hickman. At that age, you don't really know what sperm is. I think he thought it was like piss, because it was like, he was like, the story he went into was like super sexual to the point that it was like, that's what was meant to like intimidate me or like gross me out or something, is like, yeah, I like jack off, like Emily Hickman like sucks my dick, and like I jack off and she like swallows my cum, and then I like fill the room up with cum, and she's like swimming around in my cum, and like my sperm are all like swimming around, and like Emily Hickman is like, this was, I don't remember exactly what he said. He didn't say it like that, but it was something like that. It was, I remember him talking about filling the room up with cum and her like swimming in the cum, or somebody swimming, I don't remember. Something like that. And as he's talking about that, he can tell that I'm sort of like getting weirded out, or I think he like sort of put me on the spot or something. And then he like grabbed me by my backpack, and he like threw me at this. There were like these hard concrete garbage cans in our hometown at that time. And he like threw me into this garbage can, not like super hard. He just sort of like grabbed at me, and I sort of like, hit the garbage can. And Richard Cotterman and Brian Truck are sort of like looking and like laughing, like, ha 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 ha. Even though, like I said, they're nice guys, I don't think they were like, they weren't going to beat me up or anything. They weren't really laughing at, but it was an awkward fucking situation because it was like Goodfellas. It was like that scene where he's like, oh, I'm funny. Funny how? Like where somebody's just like busting your balls, I guess, is what they call it. They're breaking your balls a little bit. I guess maybe he was breaking my balls. I think he was jealous that Emily Hickman was laughing at my hilarious math room repartee, okay? I think that's what this is really about. And he wanted to kind of intimidate me and sort of like, I don't know, freak me out. It was like some kind of weird hazing where like he pushed it to like this sort of weird place as a way of like making me nauseous and like making me like sick or something. It's like, Jesus Christ, like a room full of sperm, or what the fuck are you? And like that was the end of the physical altercation. He didn't like try to punch me or anything. That after that, they just sort of walked away, like laughing at me or something. Like, yeah, let's get the fuck out of here. This fucking douchebag. Leave this gay wad alone. We got our point across, boys. It was really one of the few times in my life like that I've been like accosted and sort of like intimidated by anybody like that. With like, these other guys were there. I don't think they were meant to be a part of the intimidation, but they were sort of more on his side. It was one of those things that like, I don't know, it was disorienting and it was sort of like traumatizing. And I guess the reason why I bring that up is because, well, later, okay, Pat Hardy, when, fucking, we got out of school, he did go to fucking Iraq or something. He went to Afghanistan or something. I think he went to both. And he was in some kind of helicopter fucking accident, and he got injured. I don't really know the extent. He's still alive, I think. I'm pretty sure. I don't really know. I hope he's okay. Little kids do fucking psychotic shit. But he always had that sort of personality. And Alpha, is that Alpha? Did I get mogged? Pat Hardy mogged the fuck out of me. That's what they'd call it now. He looks-maxed me. I mean, he was a Chad in a way. I don't know how tall Pat Hardy grew up to be. He was never really like a super tall guy. So maybe he gets heights mogged by, he got height mogged. But I never got to date Emily Hickman. That was really the end of my, Mr. Hain moved us in math class. One day he just changed the seating order. And that was the end of my my brief flirtation with Emily Hickman. Even though she was always hot, she was always stylish and cool. She ended up, I don't know if I should say this on the internet. Well, when I was in college, Emily Hickman, one Christmas, word came down from Spencer that Emily Hickman was in a porn movie. Some scumbag in Florida had given her a few $1,000s. She was on We Live Together. I don't know if people remember We Live Together. Back when porn had a personality, Emily Hickman was on We Live Together. And she was also like in a Christmas-themed porn where she was like sort of, it was awkward. Let's just say it was awkward. I don't think she got like, I don't think there was intercourse. I think it was like a lesbian porn. I don't think she had sex on camera with a man. But she was a real one. We love Emily Hickman. I feel like now as an adult, I'd be more able to interact with people from high school. I'd be less intimidated, maybe. In school, you're just like, oh my God, it's Emily Hickman. It's the hottest girl in their grade. I better be funny today in math class. I better be on. I was a performing monkey. I don't care. Greatest days of my life. And something happened. I don't know. After 8th grade, I was no longer able to flirt with women. But in 6th and 7th grade, I was like really flirtatious. I don't ask me how. I was pretty confident and flirtatious. I don't know where that came from, but what time is it? I'm going to get going maybe in 10 minutes. I'll do 10 more minutes. So anyway, it seems to me like the Epstein people are like a version of that on the ultimate scale, where it's like there's some kind of in crowd. Like, look at Ghislaine Maxwell and how like giddy she is to be this like psychotic bitch. She seems so stoked about it, to be Jeffrey Epstein's like purveyor of underage like victims. And what do they get off? They get off on making people feel bad. They get off on intimidating people, silencing people, victimizing people, hurting people. They get a kick out of it. Or is that what it's about? I don't know. But the idea with like the ultra wealthy is they do these things as a form of initiation within each other, right? Like the wrestling team, you have to run around the high school naked with all the other wrestlers. That's like something that bonds us, even though it's this weird like pubescent sex ritual among underage boys. It's like how they fucking, I don't know. It's like how they indoctrinate these kids. I could never do that. I could never be a part of that. That's why I went this way and all those other kids went this other way. And why I wasn't cool. I couldn't be like an Abercrombie fuckface. We didn't have money for that, for one thing. But it's just like, I don't know, we weren't... I'm more of a friend to the outcast. I usually get along with those people better. Let me see if there's anything. Oh, I did want to talk briefly about... Well, let me just round this up real fast. Yeah, so I don't... You know, by doing whatever the fuck it is they're doing to children, by blackmailing them, I didn't talk about the trumpet flowers. Supposedly, Epstein has these trumpet flowers on his ranch. Look at it. It's in J-mail. It's in the emails. Trumpet flowers. He's asking about these trumpet flowers. Supposedly, what they use these trumpet flowers for, they look it up on Wikipedia. It's like this dark, they said dark shaman use it. And it basically like puts people into like a horrifying psychedelic like intoxication where they're like get physically ill and they have these kind of nightmarish psychosis that makes them like very easy to control, terrifies them. And supposedly Epstein had these trumpet flowers on his ranch or this or that. This is, I think they said CIA would use it for various purposes. Intelligence agents know about this. And so, you know, what the fuck is Epstein using trumpet flowers for? But he's using them on somebody. And apparently there's a Zoe Kravitz movie, Blink Twice, which is sort of about this. And she has a whole thing about the trumpet flowers or like the dark psychedelics that they, roofie these people with, basically. And, I mean, if they're capable of that, if they get a kick out of that, I mean, that's fucked up. Like, I don't know. It seemed to me like a lot of the in-group, out-group, or whatever, that moment with Pat Hardy, the way he took it to like this overly weird sexual place that was like, for a sixth grader, it was sort of intense and overstimulating or something. You have to be initiated. You can't hang with us unless you are mean girls or whatever. Did you guys see YouTube went down the other day? YouTube went down for like an hour. YouTube went down like 2 days ago, I think, for an hour. What happened? I want truth. I'm a YouTube truther, okay? What were they doing? Why did they take YouTube down? My TV wasn't working. The phone app wasn't working. There was no way for me to stream. What if I wanted to live stream? I could have been streaming. You guys missed it. Earlier, my previous stream, I was talking about Les Wexner, and the stream just shut down magically out of the blue. I didn't shut it down. It's just like, oops, nope, we're done. That's enough of that. You've talked too much. You've said too much. We're gag order. Apparently the Epstein Island looks like the Nickelodeon logo. I don't know if I really believe that. That seems like that's a little far-fetched. I think that's a coincidence, probably. Was Dan Schneider ever on the island? Was Amanda Bynes on the island? I think that was a separate child trafficking. I think Dan Schneider probably wished he was on the island. I don't think he was in those circles. He wasn't that initiated. He wasn't that elite. He hadn't been traumatized in the blood and the baby feces. Oh, and then maybe I do want to talk about JFK Jr. a little bit, because now JFK, I don't know, is this just my algorithm? Is everybody seeing all this JFK Jr. content because of this fucking miniseries? Whatever it is, American Love Story, Ryan Murphy. I haven't watched the miniseries. I don't really care to. But I do think JFK Jr. is kind of a fascinating figure because, he indicates a different path this country might have taken. He died in, 1999, right before 9/11. And, if neither of those things had happened, maybe he would have been the president. He seemed like he probably would have been a pretty good fucking president. He seemed like a very level-headed guy. He had kind of a gift, in a way. And of course he was a total hunk. These women are still like in love with him, but like he didn't seem like a scumbag about it. He seemed very like secure, and I don't know. He was almost like he was very modern. I think he was ahead of his time in his way. If you look at his magazine, that magazine George, I haven't seen the actual magazine, but if you look at like the people he's interviewing, it's like he seems pretty fair. It's like he'll have an interview with fucking Newt Gingrich or Lamar Alexander or something. It's not all just like super liberal. It's and the interface of it it almost looks like ESPN the magazine or something. It feels like it could have been a blog. It looks like Gawker or something. Like if he was 10 years later, it definitely would have been a blog or some kind of like website, startup fucking thing. Probably would have made a bunch of money. And just how unlucky this fucking country has gotten. With the Kennedys in particular, Jesus Christ. If JFK was the president and RFK was the president, it's like we may have had or Al Gore. It's like, think about how many times, like, Democrats have been fucked out of the presidency over the past 60 years because they want to get rid of, socialism. They want to erode the left. They wanted to get rid of Camelot and that sort of like governmental optimism of JFK.
I don't think they necessarily killed JFK Jr. It seems like he just kind of made a mistake, really. But was he a Nepo baby? The way that he's good looking, I understand, is like female gaze. He kind of looks like there's like something very feminine. He looks almost more like Jackie O than JFK. And even though you can feel that sort of in his accent and his sort of bearing, he has this sort of like dough like, but his style I felt like is very contemporary. There's something about the way that he dressed, that's his fits are like very clean. They feel very modern to me. It's like he could be like a Gen Z TikTok fashion Chad. He could be like, he would be in the class of Jacob Elordi and Clavicular or whatever. Or whoever the hot, 6'3" guys are. JFK Jr. would be right there as sort of like what a man is supposed to be. Like a woman's idea of a man is like a 6 foot, well presented, well groomed. But he has something that's like still a little bit outdoorsy. He's riding his bike. He's always got his shirt off. He's fucking jogging or whatever. He's helping people move furniture. He's always doing stuff where he's like going out of his way to be nice to people or this or that. So there's something about like rugged. He's a little, he's not like rugged, but he's just got enough of that it's like manly. He's got a hairy chest. But not to mention the lore. I mean, JFK Jr. has this unbelievable lore that everybody knows and is like iconic part of our culture and our whole society. He's a prince, basically, right, of the most glamorous administration this country's probably ever had. Camelot. And Jackie O and the fucking pink, Coco Chanel pillbox hat and all that. The motorcade. And John, saluting. And he's also like this Tribeca guy. He's almost like some kind of Sex in the City boyfriend or something. So, I don't know. He makes the rest of us look horrible by comparison. We're totally inferior. We don't have any of that. We don't have the pedigree. We don't have the wardrobe, the paparazzi. That's got to be exciting. What might have been for America on our 250th birthday, probably the last year of America. I mean, it does look like Trump is going to start a war. People are talking about it like it's just, oh yeah, this is happening. It's like with Iraq, they did 9/11. What's their justification? It's like, oh, we're just going in, we're doing this. We're not asking Congress. The justification is he's senile and he's got to distract from the Epstein files. Here we go. Andrew arrested on birthday. Misconduct in public office. Faces life in prison. Ooh, shit. I hope they do put him in fucking jail for life, the scumbag. Oh, shit. Trump's going to redesign the dollar. Oh, my God. Okay, well. Just keep reading the files, people. Keep pulling the strings. To me, it's more about that. It's about the systematic exploitation of like most of the people on this fucking planet by a few people who want to like just live in like this insane luxury. They have staffs. These people just bend over backwards. Like somebody like Epstein lives an entire life. Everything is maximized for his convenience. It's like his living situation, his traveling circumstances, his procuring sexual partners. It's all just like insanely optimized for him. It's like the rest of us are struggling to make ends meet, can't scrape together a living, can't get a job. I mean, I think, we're almost to the point that the AI is good enough that, like, it's almost like there's sort of plausible deniability with some of the shit. I mean, I've seen people post tons of shit that they claim is in the files, which is fake, that people believe, right? Like that picture of Mom Donnie's mom or Mom Donnie with Epstein. It's like, come on. That's clearly AI, but we're about 6 months or a year away from people really not being able to tell the difference. And so I think they want to kick the can down the road as far as they can until it all just blurs together and people won't know what to fucking believe. And we're on the precipice of like probably a giant war. What have they got to lose? Trump's sort of getting, they just arrested Prince Andrew. Trump's sort of getting cornered a little bit. Even though, the Supreme Court basically gave him total immunity. If he can get away with it, why wouldn't he just fucking start a war with Iran? And we'll see, I guess. It's supposed to happen this weekend. They've been stacking up troops, right, in that region, so hopefully not. Something big is supposed to happen astrologically in February. It's supposed to be the biggest month of the year, and it's supposed to be a big year, so we're almost through the winter, It's not that much longer. Only about another month or so of real bad winter, so we'll be getting out more. I'm going to try to go to this open mic tonight. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. DM to sign up for next week. Keep reading the files, keep speaking your truth, keep watching. I'm trying to connect all the dots. We're all that guy in that meme with the red, yarn and the bulletin board, and we're all just like putting the conspiracy together one piece at a time. We're all totally frazzled. I mean, the Epstein thing, even with the half that they've given us, it's almost too much psychically to even deal with. It's so dark. And hopefully it indicates some kind of change. Hopefully we are on the precipice of some kind of new societal arrangement and hierarchy, but it really doesn't seem like the tech people want to allow that, and it seems like they're trying to sew up. I mean, what happens when Larry Ellison owns TikTok and CBS and Paramount, and Netflix owns this, and CNN and YouTube and Twitch and everything? I mean, I'm already shadow banned. There won't be any. Where do we? The only place we'll be able to, compare notes is in public, really. They're already shutting out a lot of the protesting and the activism. So we're not seeing it. We're not seeing videos of the protesting and whatnot. So I don't know. Even if I'm only broadcasting to a few people, it feels important to get down as much of my side of what I see as I can for this, this crazy part of history. It's crazy what's going on right now. It's absolutely fucking nuts. It's not like Bill Clinton getting a blowjob, okay? It's it's people who are willing to do anything to just like wipe their ass with the rest of humanity. And this is how they do it. They have this guy's got stables full of horses on this New Mexico ranch. How much time could he spend there? It's like you have 8 properties. The most time you could spend is a month and a half, a year at any one of them. 2 months maybe. It's like you have an entire horse stable to your fucking self. Like you're a greedy piece of shit. Nobody needs that. This is the disease of our world. Is like rich people have way too much, and that disempowers us. We can't fight back. Somebody like Epstein is possible. He's enabled because he has so much he has fuck you money, literally. So there will be no consequences for him. Or he died in his jail cells, I do think Mamdani, it's really the weird thing, and this will be the last thing I talk about, is the weird thing is Mamdani's been given all these press conferences, right, about how he has to raise if the state will not, because he's trying to force the state's hand. He's saying if the state will not raise 2% tax on the richest earners, then he has to institute a 9% increase on New Yorkers' property tax. And so a lot of people are up in arms about, well, fuck, There's this huge budget deficit. It's $12 billion, which, to be honest, the thing that kind of annoys me is he acts like shocked. He seems panicked. When he does these press conferences, he seems a little panicked, which is not how he has been presenting to the media. His whole public image so far has been very cool, calm, collected. Like he's this kind of wise man that has all the answers and he'll take care of it. And he's going to give us free buses and free grocery stores and blah, blah, blah. Rent freeze, all this. And here he is, and the first thing he fucking says is, holy shit, there's a $12 billion deficit. We have to raise people's property taxes. And so it's like, well, okay, you're panicked about this? Like, how did you not know this? Like, you're running for mayor. Like, you should have. It's the law in New York that they have to balance the budget. That is the law. Which, that's not to say that they do it. Like, every year, I think, New York has a budget deficit. So I don't know how much of a serious problem this actually is. It's about as serious as probably like the national deficit, which is to say, like, not at all, really. But he's acting like it's like this fucking emergency, and I don't necessarily have a problem with him raising people's property taxes, but that probably just means they're going to raise people's rent, or it's I think there's definitely certain things they could target. Like, for instance, why is there a vacancy? There should be a pied-à-terre tax, and why there should be a vacancy tax? Why do these landlords make money to keep shit empty? That seems really bad for everybody, including the rich people. Maybe they just want poor neighborhoods to have blight and have nothing going on. But, like, it would be really nice for the city if people could start small businesses in storefronts. And so the landlord should be incentivized to lower the rent to get a fucking business in there rather than keeping it empty. And so if they want to tax somebody, they should start with that kind of shit. They should start with people who own property in New York but who don't live here. Like Epstein or somebody. Like, if you're only here a couple weeks a year or something, you should have to pay for that. It's like, that's one reason why New York is dying culturally, because it's all of the wealth from the pandemic went into the rich people, right? And their property value exploded. And none of us have any money left. It's all gone. All the money that we got is gone. It all went upward into rich people's bank accounts. And so they buy all this fucking property in New York knowing they're not going to live here or just to park their money somewhere. It's an investment for them. Those people should be taxed. You know, if you've got buildings that nobody lives in that aren't being used, tax that shit. Like just installing, you know, these are problems that could be addressed with two birds in one stone. You're trying to raise money and you want to restore some of the vitality of the city. Tax, vacancy tax, pied-a-terre tax, get some real people living here. You know, incentivize them building shit that people actually want to live in, not just a bunch of luxury super talls that it's not even possible to live in, that are just real estate assets. Like, that needs to be addressed. You know, like, the point of property is not to just have it be an asset. And so, yeah, people who use it primarily as an asset should be taxed more. But that also harms the people who aren't using it as an asset, who suddenly their property taxes go way up. And like, okay, their wealth has gone way up because now their building is suddenly worth more, potentially. But, you know, property tax is almost like rent. It's like every year, it's like, it's a never-ending expense. So we don't necessarily want to punish everybody who owns property. Figure out, I don't know, some equitable way to do that. Because the you know, the value of homes and shit, it's all exploded because of all the money that they injected into the economy during the pandemic. Also, right, he ran on this free bus thing and free grocery stores. And I thought I heard that the free bus thing was supposed to happen in March. I thought, and the way he talked about it was like, yeah, we know how we're going to do this, and we are going to do this. See, this is what I'm saying is like, I'm not like pissed at Mamdani or anything. I think he'll do a fine job. He's probably more like de Blasio than people realize. Like people, a lot of his policies are similar to de Blasio's, to be honest. Like anytime he does something, they're like, oh, de Blasio did this. And it's like, de Blasio, I wasn't the worst mayor, but he wasn't the best mayor necessarily either. He was okay, you know, but like, it was okay. I don't remember him necessarily being that dynamic or effectual per se. It was just sort of like nice. There was a lot of residual from Bloomberg era, where Bloomberg just dumped, I don't know, they made it a luxury city with all these parks and this and that. So we're still kind of living in, like, de Blasio era was still kind of like Bloomberg, you know, this branded luxury, you know, bike paths and greenway and all this. And so I think Mamdani, he'll probably do as well as de Blasio did, I would guess. But I was surprised that he fucking was so panicked at this press conference, because it's like, dude, you ran for this. You definitely should have saw. It's not like a surprise that there's a $12 billion deficit. Like, you've seen Eric Adams. You've seen the way he does shit. I mean, you should have saw last year and the year before and the year before that there's been a fucking deficit. And either don't panic or, like, how do they solve this? I don't know. So the free bus thing, he's kind of, it's not like he's reneging on it, but supposedly they're going to do it this summer. They're going to test it during the World Cup in select areas. So I don't think it's ever going to happen, actually. If there's already a $12 billion deficit that just like, whoa, where'd that come from? Like, how? What is it? Is it the police? Or is it the MTA? Like, what is it? Like, $12 billion fucking dollars. Like, that's what defund the police was about. That was the whole point of defund the police. It wasn't necessarily like
I was never necessarily like get rid of the police per se. It was always like, you know, they have way too much money. The budget for the NYPD is $5 billion or something. I'm sure it's a big part of that $12 billion. So it's like, cut that shit. We don't need all these fucking cops standing around on their phones everywhere. I'm sure there are things that can be done. And they should raise the fucking taxes on the wealthy. You know, like 2% is nothing. It's nothing. It's no skin off their back. So, I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? This whole year could be a fucking emergency. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen this weekend. It's supposed to be nuts, but I hope everybody's okay. Thank you for watching. And I'll probably be back on in the next day or two, I guess. Thanks for watching.